Okay, we're going to try to weld out a valve seat. Now this is a donor head, it's pretty rusty, crusty. So if we make a mistake, that's fine. Something you want to notice though, is that these valve seats, they are also rusty, crusty themselves. We're using today the MIG, metal inert gas welder. It doesn't do well unless everything is perfectly clean. Now if you're using a stick welder, you can kind of get through that rust in the paint a little bit easier. But we're going to have to clean these up before we attack them with the welder. So you have options. A roll-lock disc, a little sandpaper disc for your die grinder. Works really good for cleaning up this surface, but doesn't do so well because he doesn't fit in these holes too much. You can get these little finger fellas or your floppy wheel discs. These might be our best option. They fit in the hole a little bit better. We just need to clean up the surface here. Let me point to it with the do-all. This surface here, right, our seat where it mates is right here, but it sits in the counter bore right here. So we're gonna try to weld it out. So I can clean that up and see how that goes. When you're using the welder, a couple pieces. This is the whip or the stinger. On the end it has a shield, which is removable. And there's actually your wire that's going to weld for you. And here's your ground clamp. So these here are going to make an electrical connection, an arc between them. And they'll use the metal to pass on that arc. Key things to note though, the cables for your whips, you want to make sure they're nice and straight with no kinks in them, or you're going to get a poor weld, maybe even bind up your welding wire. Welding gloves are a must, welding mask is a must. In your heat, if you're a beginner, you control your amperage and you control your wire speed, or your voltage and wire speed, sorry. Your wire speed is going to almost be directly related to your amperage, your heat. And a rule of thumb for people who are new and they just want to use it like a mechanic, not a welder, just make them the same, right? If you're going to weld on 4, do 4 and 4. If you're going to weld on 5, do 5 and 5. Your wire speed is going to go with your heat. If your wire speed's too fast, it's not going to be a good weld. It's going to pop like popcorn. If it's too slow, you're going to overheat and burn up all your metal. The gas will have to be turned on. Right, make sure your tank is full. And the gas in this situation comes out down around the whip, around the shield itself. Hard to focus there. And all it really does is prevent oxygen. It's an inert gas, prevents oxygen from interfering with your reaction so that you can get a good weld. So there's not really any benefit to opening the bottle all the way. Just gonna burn up all your gas for you. So we're gonna get set up and then away we go. Okay, now they're all cleaned up. We're going to talk about, here's the seat where it sits. We're going to weld a pattern in there, and a couple different approaches when you're using the MIG. You can do a start and stop, where you kind of move forward, stop, let it pool, move forward, stop, let it pool, let it pool. You can also use a zigzag pattern across where you want to be. Now you can also do a whip back and forth. Same effect as a stop and go. The idea is though we want to heat it quite well. It's going to expand. When it cools down, it's going to pop out of that counter bore. Now very important, you don't weld through, so you want to set your penetration, your heat on your welder right, or you're going to weld your seat into the head itself. You don't want to do that. Now that this has been heated up, just cooled down for about 5 seconds. I can actually reach in there with a pry bar. I'm just going to use my side cutters because I'm a hack, and just pry this out. And you should be able to see this seat's just going to come out here. And you just have to wiggle it just right, and that'll come. Flash forward 10 seconds. Okay, now I've just popped this red hot seat out. Don't touch it with your hands. It exposes the counter bore that we can now measure with T-gauges, clean up and inspect. And then here's the valve seat that we can throw in the garbage. Also note if you come to focus, a little bit of heat discoloration on it from welding. That's okay. Here it is.